There's a real estate crisis that not many people are talking about, and it has to do with commercial real estate. I know you've probably heard of residential real estate, which is basically your everyday houses that people buy, but commercial real estate is more like on the office space, when companies have big buildings so that people could come into work. Think of like the Apples, the Teslas, the big companies, they have them, but there's medium-sized companies and there's smaller companies. And it's a big crisis that, like I said, not many people are talking about, but we're talking about it. We're going to talk about it today. So thank you for joining us. Let's break it all down and how, although it's tied to commercial real estate, how it could potentially affect your bottom line, your pockets. Maybe for you, maybe your grandparents, maybe your parents, because there's a connection with commercial real estate and a lot of people's, financial investments like 401ks and pensions. And I know it probably sounds like a lot. It probably sounds like, what is he talking about? So let's get right into it. So recently, and before I actually get right into it, we have Felipe here with us. He joined the team not too long ago, but this is his first Avance News with us.
First time in Avance News. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're super excited to have Felipe with us today. And so let's get right into it. So just like this picture shows, here's another sign of commercial real estate crisis that's going on right now today. This is not 10 years ago. This is right now. This was literally posted just today. This Xerox building, which was in Washington, D.C., just sold for $25 million. This is just an example so you can see what I'm talking about. And then I'll get right more into it. It was last purchased for $145 million just a decade ago. So this is back in 2011. This reflects an 83% loss on this 19-story building. Isn't real estate supposed to always go up? What's going on here?
83%? That's crazy.
Yeah, so just imagine I told you, 10 years from now, you're going to lose 83% of your money if you invest into this. Would you do it?
I won't. I will not do it. It's too much of a loss.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would, right? So it's a terrible loss. But it literally just happened. And there's other buildings. There's some buildings in San Francisco, some buildings in other parts where a lot of big tech companies have been having a lot of issues with people coming back to work. So that's one of the things. A lot of people just got used to not working. So before we get into it, I want to show this video. Pay attention. Look at what this person says. It basically explains everything that's going on with the commercial real estate crisis that's going on right now.
We would have a problem in real estate, in every sector of real estate, not just office, because of the 500 basis point increase in rates that was vertical. The fact that one asset class never recovered, people never went back to work in the United States, in the office market has an existential crisis right now. And so, it's a $3 trillion asset class that's probably worth $1.8 trillion. There's $1.2 trillion of losses spread somewhere. And nobody knows exactly where it all is. And a Signature Bank was sold, and we bid on it. There were buildings in New York that were $100 million. The guy bought it for $200. The loan was $100. We thought it was worth $30 million. There's a building for sale right now in San Francisco. It was bought for $850 a foot. The loan was $450 a foot. They'll sell it for $250 a foot. I mean, that's 25 cents on the dollar. That would mean we lost 3/4 of the total asset class. Now, this asset class is not just owned by rich people. It's owned by pension plans and other people, small investors. We're not just talking about towers. We're talking about the buildings that surround towns and municipalities.
In that video, it broke it down. Basically, the biggest thing that happened is they've been raising interest rates. So when it says 500 basis points, that's what it's talking about for the last couple of years. Jerome Powell, which is the head chairman of the Federal Reserve, raised interest rates, which made it more expensive to borrow money. A lot of these commercial buildings have a renewal on. They have to basically almost let's just say refinance their loans, and a lot of them got their loans at a really low interest rate. Right now, the interest rates are so high. So this is why this guy is saying there might be a crisis, because people have to refinance, and they might, their monthly payment might increase by 50%. But another thing that he said here is that a lot of people are not going back to work because there's a lot of companies that are hybrid, remote work, and it's just normal now, especially in the US. Another thing in this video he didn't share, but that's a phenomenon that's happening, is it's only in the US. There's other countries that are not having this issue. And the crazy part is, like you said, it's not just rich people that own these commercial properties. A lot of people that have pensions, 401ks. So you're talking about people like firefighters, policemen, teachers, that their money is tied into certain investments that are, being invested by hedge funds or whatever. And they buy properties like this.
So how does this affect you and I, Josh? How does this fit into that?
So it might be a positive for someone like us or someone that's in their early 20s or 30s. If you have a lot of money, like cash, right? And let's just say an opportunity, and if there is, a commercial real estate crisis, let's just say, for example, you have, $1 million in the bank, $100,000 in the 100,000, more reasonable. You're able to get a loan for, not a terrible rate, but you're able to buy a commercial property for 80% discount, just like that picture showed, and you're able to convert it to, like, let's say residential, so like a bunch of apartments. So that's one thing. So if you have a lot of money, you're sitting on a lot of cash, that's why you got to save that money. Then whenever there's a crisis, that might become an opportunity for you. Now, the second thing, when we're investing into our 401ks, Roth IRAs, and all that, a lot, like I said, a lot of those Roth IRAs or pensions, whatever, they're managed by people, financial advisors, hedge funds, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes, for the most part, they invest into safe, investments. But a portion of that investment is invested into different things, assets. So one asset is a stock, another asset is real estate. So there's a lot of those companies that invest into real estate, commercial real estate, for example. And if commercial real estate goes really down, maybe it won't affect you and me, but it might affect someone that's watching that's about to retire or has a lot of money saved in their 401k. And they're like, man, I was about to retire, but if it goes down 5, 10, 15, 20%, this year, I'm going to wait off. I'm going to have to push it for another year, another 2 or 3 or 4 years or whatever. So that's basically what's happening. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. Do you have a lot of friends that work from home? Or, we technically are a hybrid, but...
We both work from home. We have some friends that also work from home, but if you're out there and you work from home, you need to know about this.
Yeah, you definitely need to know about this. And recently there was a company called IBM that told all their workers, if you don't come back to work in person by August, bye-bye. A lot of companies are fed up. They don't want their workers to work from home because obviously productivity for some companies, you guys, have you seen those TikToks where there's people that say, I work for Google. I wake up at 8 in the morning. I go do yoga, and then I go do this. I do that. Then I work from like 10 to 12. I have 2 meetings, and then I go have lunch. And then I had a rough day, so I'm going to go get a massage,
What is that management,
Yeah. Have you seen those videos on TikTok?
I have seen those videos. They don't do anything, throughout the day. Basically, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4 hours of work, and that's it, And they report all their hours.
Yeah, and there's a lot of companies that have workers that are like that. So I can only imagine they're upset. But there's a lot of reasons. So I know there's a lot of talk about a real estate crisis. It may not always be, it doesn't always look the same. What happened in 2008 will not happen in this year because it's different. But, a commercial real estate crisis, if you were to ask me, can that affect a lot of things? It will affect a lot of things if it does happen. Like you said, I talked to a banker once and he told me the problem with the last 3 or 4 years is money has lost the problem with the last 3 to 4 years since the COVID pandemic and all the money that's been printed, money has lost its intrinsic value. That you put a dollar amount on whatever you want to put, and its value is determined. It's subjective, basically. It's not based off fundamentals anymore. It's subjective, and that's a problem. Whenever our economy or the stocks or anything goes away from the fundamentals, and it's just like, why is it like worth $1,000 stock when it was $10 stock? I don't know. Fundamentally, it's not supposed to be worth like that. It's just a hype. Same things happen with a lot of stuff like commercial real estate. So that's what's going on right now with commercial real estate. Pretty interesting stuff. Do you think the average person, really cares about this stuff or would find interest in any of this? Or?
Perhaps some people will. This is not for everybody, obviously, but it affects the whole population overall. Because if one side of the coin, something happens on one side of the United States, it's going to affect the whole economy. It's not just one thing that affects it, it's multiple things.
It's a snowball effect. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and you'll see in our other episodes where we're talking about when the snowball effect. But yeah, that's basically it when it comes to commercial real estate and the crisis. Comment down below what you guys think is going to happen, if there really is going to be a crisis, or am I just, am I just speaking too much doom and gloom?
Or is this being paranoid?
Yeah, am I just being paranoid, or do you think it's actually legit? Because the numbers don't lie, the fundamentals don't lie, but we'll see what happens.
You could be wrong.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong. I could be right, or I could be wrong that it's actually a lot worse than we thought, right? So we don't know, but let us know in the comment section below what you think, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Absolutely.